Hi, and welcome back to our course on plastic design considerations. Before we go deeper into plastic design rules, it's important to understand the basic science behind plastics, but in a way that actually helps you design better parts. As engineers, we don't need polymer chemistry at a molecular research level. What we need is a clear understanding of how polymer structure influences behavior, performance, and failure. That's exactly what this lecture is about. At the most fundamental level, plastics are made of long chain molecules called polymers. The way these chains are arranged inside the material determines almost everything about how the plastic behaves. Based on this internal structure, most engineering plastics fall into two broad categories: amorphous plastics and semi-crystalline plastics. Once you understand this distinction, many design decisions start making sense automatically. Amorphous plastics have polymer chains arranged in a random, disordered manner. There is no repeating pattern or long range order. Because of this random structure, amorphous plastics tend to behave more uniformly in all directions. They usually offer good dimensional stability, lower shrinkage during molding, and excellent impact resistance. Many amorphous plastics also have good transparency, which is why materials like polycarbonate and acrylic are used for lenses and clear housings. Examples of amorphous plastics include ABS, polycarbonate, PMMA, polystyrene, and PVC. These materials soften gradually as temperature increases rather than melting suddenly, which makes them easier to control in precision applications. Semi-crystalline plastics, on the other hand, have regions where the polymer chains are highly ordered and tightly packed. These crystalline regions coexist with amorphous regions within the same material. This ordered structure gives semi-crystalline plastics higher stiffness, strength, chemical resistance, and wear resistance compared to amorphous plastics. However, it also makes them more challenging to mold accurately because they shrink more as they cool. Materials like polypropylene, polyethylene, nylon, POM, and PBT fall into this category. These plastics have a distinct melting point and tend to warp more if wall thickness is not uniform. Here's a summary for how amorphous behavior is different from semi-crystalline behaviors in plastics. Now let's connect this structure to mechanical behavior because this is where plastics differ most from metals. One of the most important behaviors to understand is creep. Plastics deform over time when subjected to a constant load. Even if the applied stress is well below the material's strength, the polymer chains slowly rearrange themselves, leading to gradual deformation. This is why plastic shelves sag, clips loosen, and housings slowly change shape over months or years. Creep is strongly influenced by temperature, time, and material structure. Semi-crystalline plastics generally perform better under long-term load, while amorphous plastics are more sensitive to creep at elevated temperatures. Fatigue is another critical behavior. When plastics are repeatedly loaded and unloaded, microscopic damage accumulates inside the material. Over time, this leads to crack initiation and eventual failure. Plastics usually have lower fatigue endurance than metals, which is why snap fits, clips, and hinges require careful design. Flexible materials like polypropylene perform exceptionally well in fatigue, which is why they are used for living hinges. Brittle plastics, on the other hand, may fail quickly under cyclic loading if sharp corners or stress concentrations are present. Flow behavior during processing is equally important. When plastics are heated and injected into a mold, they behave like highly viscous fluids. The way polymer chains flow, orient, and freeze during cooling affects strength, surface finish, and dimensional accuracy. Amorphous plastics generally flow more uniformly, while semi-crystalline plastics can show complex flow patterns that lead to weld lines, sink marks, and anisotropic strength. This flow-induced orientation means that plastic parts are often stronger in one direction than another, which must be considered during design. All of these behaviors, creep, fatigue, and flow, are direct consequences of polymer structure. So, how does polymer structure affect product performance? The way polymer chains are arranged directly influences how your part performs in the real world. Number one, strength and stiffness. Semi crystalline plastics are typically stronger and stiffer because of their ordered structure. This makes them suitable for gears, bushings, and mechanical components. Amorphous plastics, while less stiff, offer excellent impact resistance, making them ideal for housings and protective covers. Number 2. Shrinkage and warpage. Crystalline regions shrink more during cooling. If the wall thickness is uneven, this differential shrinkage causes warpage. Amorphous offers low shrinkage and better dimensional accuracy, while semi-crystalline offers high shrinkage, so a careful mold design is needed. Number 3. Chemical and UV resistance. Semi-crystalline plastics have better chemical resistance because the tightly packed crystalline regions resist fluid penetration. Amorphous plastics are more vulnerable to stress, cracking in presence of oils, detergents, or alcohol. Number 4. Temperature behavior. Amorphous plastics transition gradually from hard to rubbery, glass transition. Semi-crystalline plastics stay solid until they hit a sharp melting point. This impacts maximum working temperature, snap fit flexibility, and long-term deformation. 5. Aesthetics and transparency. Amorphous plastics can be transparent because their structure allows light to pass through uniformly. Semi-crystalline plastics are generally opaque or translucent due to light scattering from crystalline regions. This brings us to the conclusion that the internal arrangement of chains determines how a plastic responds to load, heat, time, and environment. Semi-crystalline plastics offer higher mechanical strength and chemical resistance, but demand careful control of wall thickness and cooling. Amorphous plastics provide better dimensional accuracy, impact resistance, and aesthetics, but can be more sensitive to chemicals and long-term heat exposure. Once you understand this relationship between structure and behavior, plastic design becomes far more logical. You stop treating plastics as weak metals and start designing them according to how they truly behave. This mindset is essential for selecting materials, defining geometry, and predicting long-term product performance. In the next lecture, we'll build on this foundation and learn how to systematically select the right plastic material using real data sheets and real engineering criteria. Thanks for watching this lecture. See you in the next one.